This video should help you with step 5, which focuses on how much you should be risking per trade. In the video that compares stocks, options, option spreads, and futures, we talk about the amount of capital required, or buying power, that it takes to trade those. Now, a lot of people confuse capital required and how much you are actually risking. If you were to buy 100 shares of Apple at $400, that would typically take $40,000 worth of capital or buying power to be in that position. If you were to buy an option contract with a strike at $400, it might cost you $2, which would be $200 in buying power. So you might say, with the stock trade, you are risking $40,000, and with the options contract, you're only risking $200. This is one way to look at it, and might help you with patience on holding the options contract, knowing if Apple explodes and goes bankrupt, you will only lose $200, whereas the person with the $40,000 stock position can lose $40,000. But I don't think that will happen. Apple probably isn't going to zero tomorrow. Obviously, you can make much larger percentage gains with options than with stocks. Let's look at the same example. If you have 100 shares of Apple at $400, then you will have $40,000 in Apple. And if it goes to $405, you would be up $500, which would be 1.25%. Let's say the option contract went from $2 to $4. That would be a nice $200 gain, or 100% gain. So looking at it this way, it's obvious options are way better to go with a $200 risk and a huge upside percentage potential. The thing that some people don't look at is the actual risk reward. Options, depending on the contract, can pretty easily go to zero. But Apple's stock price is probably not going to go to zero anytime soon. Now, if you were to look at your risk reward percentage gain, then things turn a little bit. Let's take the same example and say your stop on the stock is minus $2. So you will stop out, take the loss, if the stock goes below $398. This will give you the exact same risk as the options contract at $200, if you stick to your plan. Now, which one has a better risk to gain percentage? Even though the stock trade cost you $40,000, you are only risking $200 because that's where your stop is. So taking the trade from risking $200 to gain $500 is a 250% gain, whereas the option contract only did 100% gain. You could argue your stop on the options contract was at $1 or 50%, which would only be risking $100. In that case, maybe the option was better. What I'm trying to get at is that your risk reward is likely more important than the capital required to make the trade. Of course, it does also depend on how much buying power you actually have. If you can't do a $40,000 position, maybe the options contract is the only way that you can trade this, with this specific example. Yes, this is a different way of looking at it, and it all relies on your stop and your discipline in following that stop. I'm not saying that stocks are better than options. They each have their pros and cons, as we've discussed. This is just another thing that you can think about when choosing what to trade. So I'll see you in the next video.